I just want to get in and call him out.
You good? Okay. And welcome to Carrie and Brian, who are joining us remotely. And looks like there's one other, 41197. Welcome. Okay, we will call tonight's meeting order. And ask Council Member Hilliard if you would pray for us, and Council Member Kinnison if you would lead us in the pledge.
Our dear Father in heaven, we are grateful to be able to come together as a city this day to conduct the business of our wonderful city. We are grateful for thy hand of protection that has taken us through this dry summer. We pray that it may continue as we conclude this fall. We are grateful for the leaves of our wonderful city and the beauty they provide. We are grateful for our wonderful residents, for those that attend and contribute to our community to let their voices be heard. We pray that thou wilt let thy spirit guide us this day so that we may be able to make decisions that best serve our community. We pray that thou wilt continually watch over those that sacrifice so much for us, our first responders, our sheriff, sergeant, and we pray for their families as well. But we pray that thou wilt watch over us this day. Help us that we may be able to be civil, that we may be able to be unifying, that we may be able to express ourselves in a way that allows our residents to see our stances and opinions for the path forward with Woodland Hills. We pray that thou wilt guide us this night. We say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
If you'd like to stand with me for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, so we have a public hearing for 3 items. Welcome. Glad you could join us. All right. Item number 1 is a request for a change in zoning from R11 to R119 for the property located at 90 East Highline. And I understand Alan is
Yes.
going to be providing perhaps some insight into this request.
Sure. We intend I'm going to tell a little story with it, if that's okay. About 15 years ago, a well-known, well-respected woman here in the city was in a meeting with her, and people were conveying how long they had lived in the city. I guess I was probably the first one to speak up. And at the time, I'd only lived in the city for 7 years, and I was informed by this almost original resident of the city. I don't live in Woodland. I'm not from Woodland Hills because I haven't lived here at least 20 years. And I quite honestly took that quite personal. It has never sat well with me. We now have lived here over 22 years, and I don't have a garage for my truck. And we'd like to build an addition onto the house. It's not it is attached, and to put a deck large enough so that we can actually become full-time residents and be able to truthfully say I am from Woodland Hills. I want to put my roots down here and become a full-time resident. And so our addition encroaches on the and can you help me with
Setback.
the setbacks? And we've asked for an R1 zoning change to an R119 to accommodate that.
Okay, well, I hope that we greenlight you for membership and city residents here tonight, so. All right, well, thank you, Alan. Do we have any public comment relating to that request? Wayne, please.
I would just add for the benefit of the council that the planning commission looked at it and reviewed it and approved and would recommend to you that the zone change be approved from the R11 to a R119.
Thank you, Wayne. Mylan, did you have something? And if you'll state your name when you come
Yeah,
up.
Milo Malkovich. I am acquainted with one of the council members quite well.
You mean the one whose badge or
Yeah.
is right there?
Yes. I think that this is a great idea for Alan and his wife to have a place to park his truck. And even if you weren't a dedicated public servant on the fire department, helped put all the electrical in this building. Everything else he's done over the last 20-some years, first responder. He's an all-around great guy, and I'm not directly one of his neighbors, but I'm speaking in favor of granting this change so that he can put his attached garage, and we hope that he stays here for the rest of his life.
Great, thank you. Well said.
Diana Sackett, and I don't have my notes lined up, so let's hope my brain works. I want him to build. I have no problem with him adding on to his home. What I do have a problem with is spot zoning. If you read Utah legislation, we've already done it and we're not supposed to do it. If it's for the better of the community, if it's by no fault of the homeowner, some odd configuration of properties, but if it's because the home was placed in a certain way on the property when the homeowner purchased it or the homeowner built it, that doesn't fall in line with that. Instead, there is a way to do it legally, and it's an exemption. Ben, do you remember what exactly I shared with you?
I read through everything. I'm not exactly following you on this particular point there.
There's an exemption to this zone. It's not asking for a variance. Instead, you prove that this does no harm to any neighbors. It stays with the community standard of that area, because zones are by area, typically it's saying we have this requirement in this zone that creates a certain atmosphere and expectation of usage. So it's like a variance, but it's just an exception. We allow this to your property because we see that it is not harmful to any neighboring pieces. We understand the usage, and we're not saying we're going to change lot size to a different zone that would allow that, which then leads to potential one homeowner after another, just because they're adjacent, asking for zone changes, which makes a very large difference in community feel.
Okay, thank you. Any other comment on that point? Okay, then we will close the public hearing on item 4 and open the public hearing on item 5, a proposed amendment to City Code 851, water requirements and policies. Ted, our Public Works Director, if you'll come up and give us some background on this.
Yeah, so right now, our requirement is that when a developer comes to the city, they have to bring water shares or water rights with them and give so much of it to the city to supplement our water rights for the water that we provide to our residents. And right now, the city, we've got an excess of water rights. We've collected enough over the years that we've got just about enough to sustain us for probably through about the build out of our city. And we still require developers to bring those if they choose. But what this allows us to do is to allow our developers to pay a fee in lieu of bringing water rights to the city. So we don't give them water rights, but we have excess water rights that we can allocate to their project for a fee. So we still maintain the water right. So this gives us the option to do that with some of our excess water rights. So we're not giving up anything that we would need for the future, because we still do require or will allow developers to do that. If at some point where we feel like we need to tighten the straps on that, we can always require the water rights to be brought. But right now, we've got a huge excess of water rights, and longer than we'll use for probably decades. So this allows us to collect some money on those now for developments as an option.
Thank you. Okay, any public comment on that? Yes, will you come up and state your name?
I just actually have maybe a question, but so my understanding is that developers bring water rights to the city. My name is
Will you state your
Lynn
name?
Lynn Bennett, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
And even though we have an overage now, has anyone calculated the build out, given that we are in fact changing zoning throughout the city? If the surplus or excess water rights today will actually carry us through the kinds of changes that the city is, because I've been reading a lot of zone request changes for properties and whatever, and I agree. I think we're setting a precedent by doing that so that we're going to end up with a lot smaller sizes. We, for example, could divide our 2/3 acres maybe into 3 lots, one that we live on and 2 others, if we make that request. But I've always been concerned about water, and just because today we have excess, it doesn't mean that tomorrow or in 5 years or 10 years, we will have that excess. And given the kind of stuff that's happening around Woodland Hills, I'm just leery of the fact that we don't continue to ask for the water rights. That I actually think we should, because again, I don't think we can predict the growth in this city. And if we're gonna continue to rezone acre lots or whatever, right, to smaller, then we're gonna need more water rights, because that's gonna require, I mean, more people are gonna be coming. Anyways, I just hesitate when the city thinks we have excess today, when I know for a fact that in the future, that's not gonna be the case. And then where will we get those water rights? So I hope that we think about not just today and not just about collecting revenue, because I know the city's strapped, but that we think about long-range water planning and management, which I'm very concerned about in this city, especially, like I said, in relation to the growth in Salem, Elk Ridge, and with the new resort that's being developed.
Okay, well said. And I think that we do require developers to bring water shares. Am I correct in
Yes, so
saying?
this is, it's an option. We do require developers to bring water to the city when they develop. They have to go out and buy the water shares and then dedicate them to the city. That's our current practice. This allows the option for them to pay a fee in lieu of bringing water shares. Until such time that we decide that we can't do that anymore, we can always rescind it back and require the developer to bring water shares. So it's not like we're just giving, I mean, the answer is it's not like we're just giving them up. That's the only option they have. They have to buy permits. It's not, we'll allow either option, but we can come back when we feel like we have allocated all we can to developers for a fee. Then we could pull that back and say, now you've got to start bringing them to us again. We have looked at all of our demands through build out. And when we look at build out, we look at population, how much population is going to be moving to the city, regardless of zoning or densities. We're looking at population growth. So we've looked at this through build out, and we've got quite a few excess water shares that we've collected over the years and could perfect even more. So this just is, once again, allows us a way to bring in revenue, but also I don't think it puts us in jeopardy, because at some point we can rescind it.
Yeah, I would concur with that. We're not selling out our future because this is just excess. We have surplus, and then for future development, we would require, to the extent we've exhausted this, we would require them to bring it before they would be permitted to develop.
And with the state, you have to water rights, and not so much for municipalities, but you have to show beneficial use of water rights. So if we got water rights, that it's going to take us beyond 40 years, it would be better to collect some revenue on those now and then require developers, you know, in 10 or 20 years to start bringing it back to the city again.
And the state may take those back, right? Isn't that a concern that we have if we have
Yeah,
surplus?
they
that-
can't take them back if we don't show beneficial use. So this is a way to show that beneficial use as well.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for the comment. All right, any other? Are you pointing me
Bill
out?
had a question.
Oh, okay, sorry.
You want me to wait?
No, let's,
There are quite a few single properties around the city that will potentially be developed sometime. If that individual property owner comes and wants to build, do they bring water rights with them as well? Or did I get that when I bought my lot? Right?
No, you have to bring the water shared with you unless the development is done. In most cases, it's some of these individuals that are buying lots, developed lots have to bring a water share.
Okay.
Now, if a developer develops a development and they bring everything for the water for the development, then they don't necessarily need, each individual homeowner doesn't need to.
So a wild case scenario, suppose we have 6 homes per acre down at the bottom of the city, if that should occur. We have enough water for all of those residents too, if we did that?
So right now, we don't look at how many homes per acre, we're looking at population growth. So how many people are actually gonna move to the city, regardless of what the density is between now and we look up to 2060. So we're looking about 35 years into the future. To sustain that population growth. Now, if at 20 years down the road, we think, okay, we've allocated enough of our water shares for a fee, now we can rescind that and say, okay, if you want to develop our city, you've got to bring the water shares with you like we do now. So it's not like it's this is the only option, that we're allowing either option and can rescind anyone at any times.
I guess my concern comes with, there are a finite number of water shares and we just can't go buy any more, they're just hard to get, to my knowledge, or almost impossible to get. So that's my only concern, with.
Yeah, it's not up to us to buy them. We don't buy them. We never have. The developers have to go find them and buy them on the market and then bring them to us.
and if they don't have them, they don't develop.
And if they have them, they don't build the homes.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thanks.
All right, well, I don't want to rush through any of this, but I expect that a fairly sizable number of you are here for item 6, which is the development agreement between Woodland Hills and Three Bridges. And I have been speaking with Larry. I know he's stuck in traffic. Heather?
Yes.
Okay, Heather, if you want to give us kind of some background, we'd love to hear from you.
Okay. Project background, or I'm in-house counsel for Vantage Development, but Vantage Development works with Three Bridges to help them with the development. So I've been working with Larry on, it's okay if I said.
Yeah, no, please
I've been
do.
working with Larry on the development since he bought.
And we state your full name just so,
Heather McDougald.
okay, thank you.
I've been working with Larry and team. We have a whole team of people on the Three Bridges project, which is located in Salem, since before we bought the property from the Davis family. So I'm fairly knowledgeable, not to the level Larry is, but I'm the best substitute we had tonight on short
Glad you're
notice.
here.
So appreciate it. And also, I did work on drafting and working with Ethan and Craig, your legal counsel, on the back and forth to hone some of the language in it to make it more acceptable. I hope that we've succeeded in that. I don't know what sort of, for the public, I guess you'd probably like me to do a little summary of the development agreement, or would you prefer to do that?
Well, so, and just for the background of those who are here, I know that some in attendance have kind of heard what we have been positioning ourselves for as a city, because effectively, obviously, Three Bridges wants to develop the parcels that it owns in Woodland Hills, and as part of that, it has requested that we redirect traffic into the roundabout, allowing access into its development through that, which would necessitate a moving of the mailboxes. And they have also asked for some rezoning associated with this transaction. And so what we've been doing as a staff is we have been trying to get a proposal for the council to consider and to vote on. And in the process of doing so, what our objective has been is to make this a win-win scenario. Because Three Bridges is coming whether we play ball or not. And so with those parcels that are on the land, we've tried to structure something that we feel benefits the residents of the city at large and also allows the developer to develop its property as is within its rights. And so just to highlight some of the concessions that we've asked for from Three Bridges and they've been willing to grant is we have got a tank, a storage tank for our water with, initially we were talking, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Ted, it was initially 500,000 gallons, but now they've agreed to 850,000 gallons.
550 to 800.
Yeah, and so there is a cash contribution for us to sort of get the upgrade, but that is part of the agreement. But it does get us the water storage that our city will need that would otherwise come out of the taxpayer coffers. The second piece of it is we've got a drainage issue with respect to some of the flow that's coming from our city and is going into Salem and Utah County. And Three Bridges is willing to build a drainage solution on its property that would address those needs that we have with respect to that runoff. And then the third piece is that in moving the mailboxes, Three Bridges has agreed to, well, has expressed a willingness to agree to rebuilding our mailboxes with the added capacity that our city needs, because right now we've outgrown our mailbox. And so it would basically be doubling in size. And then the other element of it that we've tried to dial in with respect to the city is that there would be no annexation from the city into Salem or any neighboring community. The benefit there being that we would, one, get the benefit of the revenue that would come from the higher density. And then also it takes it off the table as far as a negotiation piece of leverage. And then in exchange, Three Bridges, as was mentioned, they want access to their development through the roundabout. And they do want some changes in the density with respect to the parcels that they own. And would you say that's a fair summary of the positions?
Just to clarify one thing, there's one parcel that we own now, or actually to be super specific, because I'm a lawyer and we can't help ourselves. The owner of Three Bridges doesn't own the parcel, but the owners of the entity are the same. So it's Saratoga 262 owns the 10-acre parcel.
And that is a party to the agreement that we have we're proposing for the council's consideration tonight.
Yes, but Saratoga 262 is owned by common owners as Three Bridges. So I don't know why they chose to buy it in a different entity, and it made it a little more complicated for drafting purposes, but it's basically the same people, just a different entity. And then there is an ongoing conversation with a parcel adjacent to that owned by the Parkers. They have actually signed a consent agreeing to the terms of the development agreement and the desire to have the higher density on their parcel if it's purchased by Three Bridges or the same entity. So I did forward that to Jody. We got it very last minute as I was driving up. There's been a bit of scurrying today to get things in order to be satisfactory to the city council. Hopefully it will be. But they have reviewed the terms of what we're proposing with respect to the density on their parcel. If Three Bridges buys it, we would like that to have the same density as the parcel that they currently own. It's in Woodland Hills.
And one thing that I was noticing with respect to the agreement is that it does say that the overlay would apply. I think that we need to make sure that the terms of the agreement, generally speaking, apply to that in the event that you're able to
Acquire it.
Acquire it. So I think that would require a small tweak, just because I believe that right now it just says that the overlay, I guess, conditions, it calls out the overlay zone. But I think that the other terms of the agreement need to also be incorporated into that in the event that the parcel is acquired.
I can work with your legal counsel to make sure that language is cleaned up, yes.
And I would say that for the council's purpose, if you vote on it, that we would make any approvals subject to that.
Make it a condition.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Heather. And I don't know if you have anything further to add, and if not, we can open it up for public comment.
And I will acknowledge humbly that I don't know all the details of the project that Larry knows, but I will try to answer any question that the citizens may have
Okay,
about our project and what our plans are.
perfect. And he's en route, right? I know he got stuck in traffic.
He's still sitting in Provo Canyon.
Oh, he is, okay,
And
so,
on the highway, not moving.
okay.
It is a logjam.
All right, thank you. Okay, it's open for public comment. If there are any here that would care to weigh in, please come on up. Yeah, Scott.
I'm Scott Abbott. A couple of questions. On the new proposed agreement, it doesn't mention that we will give them water if it's available. Has that been changed?
Okay, so Ted, I think that you're the one, our willingness to share water is subject to availability, right?
Yeah, so as a city, we can only allow surplus water to be shared. So basically, it's called surplus water. If we have any excess water and they need some water.
My point is, I don't read that in the new proposed agreement.
It's in the interlocal agreement that we have with Salem, who would actually be the party that we are exchanging the water with.
Yeah, so the water system is actually Salem City, it's not Three Bridges. Right? And same with us. So we've done an interlocal share agreement with Salem City, and it's a mutual share agreement. If they have a shortage of water and need it for whatever development that might be, we can share water with them and vice versa. They can share water with us if we need it.
And how long has that been in place?
Probably about a month.
Maybe I'm not making myself clear. As I read the new proposed agreement, that language is no longer in there. Am I misreading it?
Because water's not part of.
I understood that was in the agreement.
That's what I thought.
Yes, the 200 gallons per minute.
Yes.
Available for purchase.
Oh, okay, no, yeah, and that's subject to availability too.
Yes, it is. Only if available, and
So
it's for
that's-
purchase, it's not
that's-
given.
That's just surplus water that can be purchased if we have it available.
And let me find the exact
I
language
just
here.
read the proposed agreement that's on the agenda today.
I'm sorry, I left in such a hurry, I don't have it.
Doesn't
But looks
have-
like the mayor has it.
It's number 9. It's number 9.
So it is still there?
It's
Then my question is answered. That one. This says that, so this is a second question. It says that we need to give them construction access for a new tank. Can't they just go up our road? Or is there access from their place?
I mean, I don't know exactly the route that they're envisioning in terms of construction.
So the only access to the location where this tank was built is to either go Broad Hollow and up to our tank that way or up through Deep Forest. So the crews.
They keep a chain across the road on Deep Forest.
Yeah,
So
would
we
have to be going, they would go up, probably,
That's all that means, is that they have that access.
yeah.
The ability to get there.
And then my third question has to do with the change in zoning. And actually, the question has two parts. Will that then make zoning changes in the rest of the city easy so that we can have 6 residences per acre?
No.
How do we know that from this agreement?
It's only for that spot. It's only for that piece.
Yeah, I mean, we've got different zoning for different developments in the city already. And so as far as it having precedential type effect, I don't know that there is, I mean, I can't speak to the legal standard as if someone would be entitled to insist on higher density because it's been done elsewhere. I don't know, but I mean, that would apply to Four Seasons. I mean, Four Seasons.
So right by the big church, the Stake Center, Four Seasons, they're quarter-acre lots?
I believe so,
R119.
All right,
So-
so we've already given smaller
Yeah.
lots.
yeah.
And then finally,
So that's
so
part of why we did the developer agreement is because we're not creating a new zone. In addition to a zoning we already have, this is only specific to this development agreement.
So it's actually more restrictive than a zoning change would be.
So it's only allowed by this agreement for that parcel, right? So we haven't created a new zone in our city that others are open to just use. This is just specific to this parcel of property.
all right, these answers are helpful.
Thanks. And Scott, thanks for your input on the agreement overall. And we did get that to our attorneys for their review. Now, whether they were incorporate it entirely. Some of these things are stylistic changes and some of them are, legal strategic decisions, but thanks for the input. Okay, anybody else? Yeah, come on up.
I just have a.
You gotta state your name again as we know who's talking.
Lynn Bennett, I just have a question. The range on the storage tank, why isn't that just a specific amount of water storage? Right, I understood that the range on the water tank went from 550 to, would you say 800 in?
Yeah.
So why the range? Why don't we just commit to the higher or have them commit to the higher?
It's committed to.
We did.
Oh, it is in that, is that in the new?
We originally were gonna.
Maybe by way of background, we initially started at 550,000 gallons.
Mhm.
All funded by Three Bridges.
Yeah, all funded by Three Bridges. So I don't know if I should give the long story to this
No,
or
I
the
just-
short version.
Is it in the
So the agreement
that
will
it's
be 800,000,
Number 800,000.
which is our kind of our build out capacity. That gets us through build out.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Please.
Wait a second, sorry, I'm not prepared. I haven't read it, I just finally opened it. So I'm just gonna ask my questions, make sure you've already addressed them. Water pricing, again, I've brought this up. I had another resident tell me, and they're just a family of 4.
And we did address it. I don't know if you saw that. It did get,
No, I did, I really just opened it. haven't read
yeah,
it.
no, you're good. But it did get addressed, so,
We have an increase of water pricing or?
yeah, so it's,
Proportionate to our increase to residents will increase theirs as well. So as we
So
raise
per
water rates,
gallon,
their
you
water
could-
rate goes
The
up.
tiered system?
Yeah.
Okay, commercial is typically a higher rate as well versus residential. So by tradition, if you, across the country, that might be another consideration. And I apologize, I didn't bring it up last week. Commercial property water use is usually billed
So
at a higher level.
This is all residential use,
Yeah.
I believe is what's intended for, so. I
But
don't know
it's-
if we could allocate it for commercial, just because that's defined differently with the state.
And they would then bill us if we needed them as well, right? Because this agreement's with Salem predominantly. So when we have need, they'll sell us water, and then when we have need, we sell it to them, and so it's complementary.
But this is water specific to this area.
Correct, which would
But
then
there's
be
little
in
differences.
Salem and thus would still be Salem water.
Okay.
And that is, this actually goes to Salem City, because it's their water system. Even though the development is in it goes through Three Bridges, it's a public water system which has to be owned and operated, and managed by the public entity of Salem City. So that's actually who we're giving the surplus water to, is Salem City. And they can use it specific to this development. We're not selling to Three Bridges, we're selling to Salem.
It looks like the tank descriptions, and like I said, I haven't been able to read it, I just glanced. There are more specifications in the agreements that are addendums to tonight's agenda. I'm excited about that. How we consider having a third-party oversight, just so that it's clean. How we considered what warranty would be on the tank as well as the construction. Because there should be something in there, if we were doing it if we were hiring a contractor, we would make sure those pieces were tight. And I want to make sure that we're not leaving anything to understanding, quote unquote, but actual binding.
so we do have a performance bond that's part of this agreement for both the tank and the mailbox. Or we will
Excellent.
require that.
Okay, thanks. Is there a cathode in the tank?
A what?
Cathode?
Don't
Do
know.
we not have a cathode in any of our tanks?
A cathode? No, water tanks, we don't put cathodes in the culinary water system.
Typically put in the ground,
Yeah.
for, what she's talking about is, it's.
You gotta state your name,
electrical-
Mylan. This is all being recorded, so.
Yeah, Milo Malkovich. If there's electricity, well, there is electricity in the ground, and so you put a sacrificial diode in the ground so that takes up the energy and it doesn't attack the tank. You have a similar thing in every one of your water tanks?
So we only do that for metal tanks, though. This is gonna be
Yeah.
concrete tanks.
It's gonna be concrete.
Okay,
So
okay.
that clarifies.
That changes that, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't build that.
Yeah, you're going deep here. I'm not prepared to answer questions on cathodes.
You're talking about sacrificial anode.
I didn't know what it was, but my husband was a contractor, so, you know. The water mitigation piece, I want to know that we have assurance for future liability and insurance on that structure that's gonna hold, you know, down the line. If they're constructing it, and yes, it's Woodland Hills property, but we're not constructing it, who will, when there's a problem, who then goes in and fixes it, tears it up, et cetera? Who's responsible for that?
It
And
would
if
be
that's-
dedicated to the city, just like other infrastructure.
So that's what I assumed. So then what are we absolutely making sure is included in that design so that we are more sure that we're not gonna have a problem?
So maybe to answer that, so there's performance criteria when you build a tank that not only is specifications set forth.
The
Mitigation.
Yeah, this is
Mitigation
drainage basin.
Sorry, Ted.
Oh, the mitigation, you're talking
For
the.
the-
Water, yeah, I moved to the water mitigation,
Oh,
sorry.
so that is actually a discussion I'm having with Salem right now, because that actually becomes part of Salem's infrastructure, not ours. So Salem's actually gonna be the ones that are gonna be operating and maintaining that.
But the problem is, I mean, our water is going into Salem,
Right.
so it's certainly in their interest to make sure that it's properly maintained.
I think with one point, I think that our property at the bottom of the hill that is the subject of this, the 10-acre piece, that is a very low spot, which will probably be a fairly large detention basin, and that would be in Woodland Hills.
Yeah, and if that one is in Woodland Hills, it's like any other developer.
Right.
So we have performance criteria, and then we check we'll inspect it, all the quality through construction, and make sure it meets the performance specifications. And then at the time it's completed, the city requires a year warranty on the project. And then once that year is up, the warranty's out, and it's city infrastructure, so then we're responsible for operating it. And that's part of what our tax dollars go for us to operate, maintain our infrastructure. We want to have control over our infrastructure.
Thank you, that helps. Mailboxes. At planning and zoning last week, it was stated not quite double. What is the actual? Are we doubling or are we kind of doubling? Do we have a?
Could just be enough so that everybody, and for future growth, but there's enough, right?
So who's deciding that enough? I want everything tightened up.
I think it
want
is double.
clean-
It's double.
It's double.
It's double.
We
It
will
is
do,
double.
And that's contractual, right?
Three Bridges is committing to do up to double, so whatever the city requires up to doubling it, we will do. So if the city says, well, we only need 85%, then we'll do that, but, or I'm sorry, 100, whatever percent, then we'll do that. But if you want double, that's what we're agreeing to do. That's the max we'll do. That's what we're agreeing to.
And it's subject to all the same site plan reviews that other construction would be subject to, so it's not gonna be some POS that's just cobbled together.
USPOS.
It's what?
USPOS.
Yeah, USPOS.
Parking, how many parking?
I think it's 12.
I think that's what the
Parking
plan
is
is about.
currently
now.
proposed. I think right now we have
What do we have now?
5,
We really don't have, we've got maybe,
Yeah.
maybe 3.
depending on how people park.
Depends on if you've got a scope and you look at the mountain or if you're there for mail.
And the post office is gonna be involved in helping us through the design of this as well.
That's good.
So
Has to
they're-
meet their criteria.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
By the
Thank
way,
you.
the new agreement says at least double.
Oh, did it? Okay, thank you.
Okay, good point.
And I just want to thank everybody who did contribute on that. You know, Diana, you started that thread. We looked at that very heavily and sent it to the lawyers, and we made quite a few changes. And thank you, Heather, for going back and forth with us as we went through, and it was very valuable, so thank you.
Yeah, which is why we were getting the final pieces like a few hours ago, not with respect to the heavy pieces or the heavy elements, but just the final nits. So, well said, Ben. All right, yeah, please.
Lynn Bennett.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay, I just have a question. What did the traffic study show about moving, so using the north side of the church where it currently goes into our mailboxes, making that, is that supposed to be the main entrance into the resort?
Okay, did you have multiple questions? Do you want us to tackle that one? Because we do have an answer on that one.
Okay, so it's two things. One, if that was gonna be designated as a main entrance, I'm interested in what a traffic study would show if we have that as a main entrance into the resort. And if it's not the main entrance, then, so is that essentially just like, what? I mean, it's just a regular, I mean, people can be driving in there, I mean, cause that's what's gonna happen. People are gonna drive through the roundabout and go in there. And do whatever they do, just like they do now, coming up in Woodland Hills. So I guess my question is that supposed to be the main entrance to the resort? And if it is, what was the result of the traffic study that was asked for, I don't know, a year and a half ago about that and what impact that would have? And I know there's 2 lanes that are supposed to go through the roundabout, but I'm just interested in what we're looking at traffic wise, because it's such a weird spot. And I also wanted to say that there are a lot of parkers in from the church on Sundays that park in the mailboxes now. And if we only have 12 slots, I just want to say those of us that may be coming or traveling and picking up our mail on Sunday may find that a little problematic. So anyways, those are just some traffic issues with that area right there.
Okay, thank you. So Heather, do you have any sense as to whether it's a main entrance or not?
I would say it has been discussed, and I'm not trying to be vague with you, but literally the phases of the project are currently being designed. So things are going to shift and change. I would say it's going to be a main entrance. I don't know if it's the main entrance.
Okay,
It
then
may in fact be, like the one with the big monument, it may be that.
Okay.
It's definitely going to be significant entrance. So probably yes. I'm sorry, I'm the lawyer. I'm not the engineer, so, but yeah.
That was a nice, safe, legal answer.
Thank you.
so-
I obfuscated as much as I could.
So the signage associated
So-
with that?
Yeah, there will be a monument entrance, not necessarily right by the roundabout, but there will be one at the entrance of Three Bridges.
So it would be beyond, so it'd be east of that, because our
I think so.
mailboxes are right there, and I would hate to
Yeah.
see a sign that has nothing to do with Woodland Hills in our mailbox zone. right?
Yeah,
I mean, as it is.
I don't think that's been designed yet. I do know that there's a plan for a monument at the main entrance.
But again, all subject to site plan review.
Absolutely, all subject to site plan review, so you'll have more chances to give feedback on all those things.
So I can maybe answer some of those traffic study questions. So I was able to finally get hold of it after several requests yesterday. The traffic study that was done for the project. Appreciate Scott bringing that up so we could track that down. Took me a while. So last night and this morning, I went through it all. The short of the summary of the traffic study is it doesn't dictate whether one or the other is a main entrance. What it looks at is traffic patterns. How are they going to be used? Right? So it doesn't say, so I can't say which one will be main. I don't know, they designate a main. It's just looking at how these will be used. One is down on 1280 South, which is a mile down 1280 South. That'll be one entrance and it'll come out. It can either continue down 1280 and or work its way over Highway 6 or come out to Woodland Hills Drive. And then the other entrance they looked at was at our roundabout. So those are the 2 main entrances they looked at. They looked at traffic patterns on those. And what they're determining in the traffic analysis is how are these intersections impacted and what level of service do they provide? And they grade level of service from A to F, just like school. So A means it's as good as level of service as you can get, and F means it's a poor level of service. The roundabout specifically, and they looked at 4 conditions. One is existing condition, as it is now. Another one is the what they're called the day of build out, or the day of initial opening of the development. And I don't know how many units they'll have when it's officially looked at that time. And then they looked at what they call build out. And then they looked at what they looked at as a 2050 horizon. And that is when there's actually going to be a larger roadway system through here. They're calling it the Nebo Beltway that's being planned right now. They'll come along 11200 down Woodland Hills Drive through Spanish. But so they looked at those 4 conditions, and basically throughout all 4 conditions, the roundabout maintains a level of service A. So it maintains its current level of service. And when they determine what the level of service is for the roundabout, to give it that A condition, they're looking at delay time during peak hours. So how much are people going to be delayed at a roundabout during peak hours? And I think from now until build out of 3 bridges, the delay goes up by about 2.5 seconds. So right now they're saying current delay during peak hours at the roundabout average is about 3.5 seconds. You may have to slow down to wait for a car to go by or 2. That'll go to about 6 seconds at build out of 3 bridges. Anything less than 10 seconds delay in an intersection is considered a level of service A. Then they look at 1280 South. That ultimately is probably going to have to be a stopped intersection. So people coming to Woodland Hills Drive along 1280 from the development will have to stop. And they're recommending that they build a few turn lanes for traffic there so the stack up doesn't get too big in a single lane.
And a signal.
Not currently, not recommended
Because I
in the
saw that
traffic.
the county had that on its agenda, a signal for that intersection.
So they're planning one right now for 8800 South. So they're planning one for 8800 South, and that's gonna be built next year. Same time the roundabout. So I don't know if you're aware, but they're gonna redo our roundabout next year. They're actually gonna redo the roundabout, and ultimately this roundabout is gonna be planned for future growth. So they're planning also to get a large enough footprint for it now, that eventually when you come south on Woodland Hills Drive, you'll be able to go automatically right down 200 without having to go through the roundabout. Same coming out of 3 bridges. You come out of 3 bridges, and they'll have a right on Woodland Hills Drive through the roundabout. Now that's probably beyond the 20 to build out 3 bridges. That's more when they're looking at the Nebo Beltway coming through here. Eventually, when this starts happening, that 1280 will be signalized. I think for the initial plans for at least I think the 5 or 7 year horizon they looked at, it's a stopped intersection now. They could change, but that's what the traffic study was recommending with a few turn lanes.
Okay, thanks, Ted. All right, and the last thing I want to do is cut the public, oh, Mike, yeah,
3 quick questions.
okay. Well, it's your Meet the Candidates night, so you take as much time as you feel you want
I don't want to do that. So the water for the high density parcel, the 262 parcel, is the developer bringing water or are we selling him water for that? Because I didn't get that.
We haven't just got that specific. It depends on if this passes tonight, then they would have the option to do it.
Okay. And then from what you said, Ted, all the residents currently only pay $1 per 1,000 gallons of water?
We have a tiered water rate, right? So you pay a base fee.
Right.
And then you have a tiered water rate depending on what you use.
How much you use?
How much you use. Sure. And so it's $1 per 1,000 if you use less than 5,000 gallons, 5,000 or less. And 5 to 10 is another cost. And when you get to 10, it's another cost. So as you use more water, the cost per 1,000 goes up.
And that's the same rate the developer will have as a tiered rate?
Right.
Okay, because I didn't read that. I thought it said just a flat 1,000.
It matches what the residents.
Okay, and then just another quick comment.
And when you say developer, it's actually not developer, Salem City.
Correct, thank you. I appreciate that. Same comment from last time about used mailboxes versus all new mailboxes. I didn't see that was changed in the agreement. Doesn't have to be, but I figure if we're getting new mailboxes, why not get all new mailboxes?
Right, I mean, I don't know that I have an answer to that, a satisfactory answer. I mean, if they're functional and are in adequate repair and are meeting our site plan requirements, then, you know, I don't know that we want to be dictating a lot of specificity with respect to construction materials, but it's certainly something that I would assume, and we're not gonna just get a bunch of beaters that would qualify for the site plan approval, but and I mean, you know, as a builder, I don't myself have concerns with allowing them to, you know, save where they can save, just as long as it's not us getting the short end of that.
I think the post office will have some input into that too, because there's gonna have to be some lock changes and moving during construction and some access while we're building and stuff like that. So,
And recycling too. Let's not forget the green advantage to reusing those. Rod?
Yeah, Rod Sager, as I read the agreement, I don't see that it shows that the charge for water will be at the city schedule. It just says in there, $1 per 1,000 gallons.
And we've revised that, so it is scaled.
Revised?
It has.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, well, like I said, I hate to cut this short, but does everyone feel like they've had a chance that wants to comment? If not, I suppose that we can, you can take us over as a sidebar. Yeah, Scott?
Just a quick question, Scott Parker. The lighting on the new mailboxes and everything, have we taken into consideration like the dark sky stuff? I mean, so we can keep the lighting down because it shines right in our property. Everybody talks about how great it is to have dark skies, but not in our property. So.
Right. Well, I mean, the lighting would be part of the site plan review per our ordinance. I mean, our ordinances do allow lighting at those types of facilities.
Yeah.
You have to.
And birds are also something.
The dark sky ship is sailed.
All right, I hope that at least gives you some direction as to, I mean, the dark skies would be that's still kind of an ongoing topic of discussion. So, I mean, we certainly have it as an opportunity to change our ordinances, but right now our ordinances do allow lighting at those types of facilities, and so it would be compliant with that.
We'll try and work it so we can shine it, safe, but not in your eyes.
Spotlight.
Yeah, what's the candle power?
Thank you.
Thanks. All right.
Just something quick, and I know that there was something going on with this. I know there's people talking about the migrating elk herds and sort of the impact and what's going to happen. And I really would encourage the city to bring DWR and to open that up into a city discussion. Because like the top reasons and all the studies that have been done in all the surveys in this city since I've been here, and I'm new, 20+ years. But
You're official then.
yeah, but wildlife is always in the top 3. And so I would hope that we would have a city discussion about that and what impact that resort is gonna have, especially with those, we have 2 herds that migrate across here, because that's why we're here. And again, the surveys in the city demonstrate that residents are very concerned about maintaining wildlife and living in a transitional zone. So again, I just want to encourage you to have that meeting with DWR, make it public, and I do believe the resort really ought to pay attention to the comment from the residents on that.
So if I could address that briefly, first of all, the wild animals are basically gonna do what they want.
Yeah, I know that.
We've been, I know, and we've talked to other people with golf properties that are like, yep, elk walk all over them. I mean, you can build walls, fences, and obviously, if you want a golf course, you prefer the elk not to be on the golf course. It's not great for the turf, or the grass. But I will tell you that our team, well, one particular member of our team has taken upon herself, Julie. She works closely with DWR, and they come out and they're doing fur traps and tracking the animals on our property, so we know what's there. Just FYI, we have foxes, coyotes, haven't seen a wolf yet, bear, cougar, elk, obviously, mini turkeys. Those are just the ones we've got pictures of. It's been quite and we're really not, it is in our conversation, like, how can we keep the elk off the golf course? What we're hoping is that they will just sidle over to other undeveloped properties that are suitable for them. I know that the Relief Mine Company has property that's undeveloped. It's pretty close by. We're not doing anything. We're thinking of barriers to try to keep them off the golf course. And I'm sure residents will have their own ideas about what they want to do to keep elk out of their yards, but that'll be up to them once they own the houses. But we are in communication with the Department of Wildlife Resources, and they have had access to our property to do all these things so that we know what's there and we can be prepared to deal with it responsibly.
And I'm back for the city to do that as well.
Yeah, and Doral is on a committee that.
We had a really lengthy, multiple meetings with many entities. I think Three Bridges had a couple of people there.
Yeah, Julie was probably there.
Julie was there. There needs to be a meeting with DWR, like you suggest here, and they need to share the findings of the group. There were many findings and it's a challenge. It's not a one answer is gonna fix it, but there's ideas that we all need to kind of still talk about and work through. So there'll be an announcement from them. We're waiting for a write-up. The lady that was heading it had a baby right as we ended the meetings, and so she's writing up.
Right when you ended the meeting? Wow.
Yeah.
That was an exciting meeting.
She was dedicated. She did skip the last one, the day she had the baby. I don't know why, but yeah, so it was positive. We think it'll help some of the things we come up with.
And I do need to close the public hearing portion of this meeting, and if we can't get through the business and discussion items, we will just have to reconvene at the end, but we do have to get to our Meet the Candidates night, so thanks for everyone's participation. All right, so item 7, ordinance 2025-32, adopting a change in zoning from R1-1 to R19 for property at Highline, 90 East Highline.
I move that we approve that with the conditions that Alan has seen, that it's just for the setback to get that cleared, so.
Okay, so that's a motion by Councilmember Kinnison,
I'll second it.
seconded by Councilmember Lunt. Councilmember Hutchings,
Yes.
Councilmember Malkovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Kinnison,
Yes.
Councilmember Lunt,
Yes.
Councilmember Hilliard.
Recuse.
Okay, and that motion carries. Item 8, ordinance 2025-33, adoption of a development agreement between Woodland Hills and Three Bridges.
I move that we adopt that with the conditions you stated.
Okay, thank you. Motion by Councilmember Kinnison,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councilmember Hutchings, Councilmember Hilliard,
Yes.
Councilmember Lunt,
Yes.
Councilmember Kinnison,
Yes.
Councilmember Malkovich,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hutchings.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Item 9, resolution 2025-20, I'm really trying to rush through this. 3 minutes, appointing a city community development director.
I will make a motion.
Okay, a motion by Councilmember Hilliard,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councilmember Kinnison. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item 10, approval of funds for engineering to begin the engineering portion of Phase 3 of the pavement management preservation plan, as we previously discussed.
What's the urgency on this, Ted?
We can get our bond money for the project next year.
And this is what we just,
Get costs, we get the engineering done, we get the costs and get our bond money to get, so we can do the roads next year.
and we discussed this last council meeting, correct? Okay. Then I'll make a motion on that.
Okay, a motion by Councilmember,
I'll second it.
seconded by Councilmember Malkovich. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item 11, approval of funds for repairs to the Maple Canyon Booster Station.
We already approved this before. We're just approving the disbursement of the funds. Is that kind of what it is? Yes,
This is
no?
a different, this is the Maple Canyon Booster
Oh.
Station over here.
Okay,
So now we got our well, all improvements all done. We have a pump in our booster station that we pump water out of Maple Canyon that went bad. So we need to get that fixed. So
Okay.
this is to fix that pump.
So Ted, this is not the improvements to do the two-way to Salem, right? This is still just the one-way?
This will be for, no, this is actually, that'll be a developer improvement, but this is, so we have 2 pumps in the booster station, one of them
Yep.
blew a seal and then needs the motor fixed. So it's just to repair that pump.
Okay, thank you.
I move that we approve those funds.
Okay, a motion by Councilmember Kinnison,
I'll second it.
seconded by Councilmember Hutchings. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any
For the
opposed?
record, can we get that dollar number?
22,
22,000?
22,000, 22, almost 23.
Thank you.
Almost 23. 22,983.
That's right.
So that's specific approval for that specific amount. Okay, and item 12, approval of contract with Sunrise Engineering for building inspections and building official assistance.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Hutchings,
I'll second that.
I'll second.
Carrie, I'm sorry, the delay got Ben there first.
It's all right. No problem.
Councilmember Hilliard, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Got a motion to adjourn. We will end right at 7 o'clock.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, a motion by Councilmember
I had a
Lang.
question I just had a question for you first, Mayor, if I can. Our vote for the development agreement, because during the discussion, we were talking about that you were still working on some things with legal.
So on the other side, it's not next. It's right up there. It's gonna be. Hey, can you hear the mayor? On North
All right. Then I think we're ready to begin. We have 3 candidates running for city council, and we have 2 candidates running for mayor. And so we will begin with an introduction of each of the candidates. We will, and I've already kind of pre-selected without you knowing. I went around the room, and so Ben Hilliard, you're going to go first, Roger Fuller second, and Janet Lund, then Michael Myers, and then Steve Johns. So you'll go in that order to begin with. We will begin with a 3-minute introduction for each candidate. And as part of the introduction, which will save me a question later, how many years have you lived in Woodland Hills? So,
Thank you. To start off with, I have been here just shy of 10 years. It's such a fabulous place. So good evening, friends and family. I'm Ben Hilliard. I'm running for mayor because I love our city and believe in its bright future. For the past 4 years, it's been my honor to serve on our city council, including as mayor pro tem, city emergency manager, and even behind the wheel of the snowplow. We work tirelessly to keep our snowy streets safe, our community strong, and our city moving forward. My time in these roles has shown me what makes our city special. It's our people, our faith, and our shared commitment to intelligent growth. As mayor, I'll build on the good work we've already done, ensuring that the city remains a place where families thrive, communities come together, and everyone has a voice. I'm committed to increasing communication, transparency, and fiscal responsibility. You deserve a government that listens, shares clear information, and spends your tax dollars wisely. I'll work every day to make that happen, because serving you is my passion and my purpose. Together, let's keep our city strong, vibrant, and united. I humbly ask for your vote to continue this journey as your mayor. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Roger Fuller. I don't know that all of you know me. I hope you get to know me.
I've been here just shy of 4 years, and I'm a CPA, so I'm a numbers guy. And I have poured through the numbers that I've been provided so far, which is pretty much 2025 and the 2026 budget. And I want to start by saying, preface by saying, I have really enjoyed this. I've watched multiple council meetings, if you will, and how they're, what they discuss, what they, and how they tackle issues and the professionality. I really don't have anything negative to say at all about their attempts to really get under control the issues we have in our city, right? And it's not rocket science here. Where do we spend our money? We spend it on wages, we spend it on the roads, we spend it on sewer, and we spend it on our wells. That's pretty much it, right there. That's the biggest part. And so I applaud the fact that if you've been to any of the city council meetings, that you'll see that we have a plan, so to speak, although it hasn't been made public yet in a way that parts of it have, like saying, oh, we're gonna fix the roads here or there. But what I haven't seen yet is here's how it's gonna budget out over this. I kind of have seen it because we saw. But I'd like to get that out in public, and I'd like to see that so we really know, hey, we need to have an extra $1 million a year to maintain our assets, right? Is it $1.5 million? What is it? And in a city of about $3.5 million budget, water, sewer in the general fund, right? That's the amount of revenue we have here and in the city. And so I look at that and I see things like our wages. Our wages have gone from about 586,000, I think. This was in 2021, now budgeted at 954,000. It's quite an increase, about a 7% increase over the past 4 years, And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm not saying that we should be paying the people that we're paying, but it is what it is, right? And so those things I think should be made public and you should see and you should understand, because I want to understand them, right? And so as I go about, there's 3 things that I like. One is I want some unity here, because I've felt conflict, and we don't need that at all. Most of us have deep faith, but let that faith shine and let that power come upon us so that we can unite. And we can unite about a common cause. And that common cause is, hey, here's the issues we got to tackle. Let's get behind them. Let's understand them, and let's go at it together. So transparency is a big issue. That's pretty simple. Just put it out there so you can see it really easy. Am I done? Yeah. All right. I can talk for hours, but thank you very much.
Once again, I'm the only female up here. Good evening. So 4 years ago, I had the honor of being elected to city council by the good citizens of Woodland Hills. I ran a grassroots campaign, did it the good old fashioned way. I went door to door, meeting neighbors face to face, and listening to as many of you as I could catch at home. A lot of you guys weren't home, I have to be honest. Along the way, I not only learned to trust, I not only earned your trust, but also made many new friends. And I learned a lot about people's desires for the community and what you want. During my first term on city council, I worked hard to represent Woodland Hills with integrity and dedication. I've taken time to study the issues thoroughly. That's something I really like to do. When we get the agenda, I try to really read through it and really understand what the changes are. Today, I called the mayor and asked him some questions about the development agreement and try to do those things. One of my responsibilities has been serving as council member over city celebrations. That means I've had the privilege of overseeing events like Woodland Hills Days, Trunk or Treat, Santa Coming to Town, the Maple Festival, and many others. Of course, none of this happens without our incredible volunteers. With their dedication and energy, we've been able to grow several of these celebrations into amazing opportunities for our community. This year, as Woodland Hills celebrates 55 years as a community, I wanted to do something extra special. I came up with the idea of creating a history movie, one that tells the story of how our town came to be and pays tribute to the pioneers who made it happen. While I have zero video editing skills myself, we are blessed with amazing, talented neighbors who stepped up and they donated their time and talents and brought this vision to life. Thanks to their hard work and their dedication, we now have a beautiful film that represents our city. And there is a QR code and a link back there on the bulletin board, so if you haven't gotten it yet, please go scan it with your phone on your way home so that you can watch the movie. It's amazing. I've also had the privilege as serving as the public information officer for Woodland Hills. In this role, I put together our monthly city newsletter, which features TED Talks, Wayne's World, councilor, mayor's comments, stats, updates on upcoming community events, and lots of other things. I also made sure to put my banking and accounting background to work by joining the finance committee. On that team, we worked hard to carefully review major purchases and projects the city is considering, making sure every dollar is spent wisely and that our tax dollars are used responsibly for the benefit of our community. I've had the privilege of serving on the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Committee. That was my first 2 years I served on that. Alongside many dedicated members of our community, together we worked hard to clean up and maintain the park and the switchbacks, and we even installed the green benches you now see along the trail. That was really fun. And I feel like that's made a big difference for our outdoor experience. So as you can see, I'm not afraid to dig in and work hard, and I've taken some of the hardest jobs. If you ask any of the other council members and they're honest, they'll tell you, I've taken some of the hardest jobs in training. Thank you.
My name is Michael Myers. I thought rather than giving you my resume, I'd tell you a little bit about who I am and how I came to be who I am. My wife and I have been married for 39 consecutive years, and I attribute that mostly to my luck and her patience. We have 4 beautiful children at home. We bought our home here to Woodland Hills in 2009, fell in love with the place and still love the place. A little bit about me is I put myself through school as a mechanic. I was an auto mechanic, learned that trade as a teenager. Put myself through school that way, got my undergraduate degree in business management and emphasis in finance. I started my own business as a mechanic because I had an employer who treated me poorly. And I thought, I'm not going to deal with this. It's not the way I want to live my life. And so I had nothing. I was newly married, 25 years old, had no resources. I thought, how can I start my own mechanic business? I had my skills, I had my knowledge, and I had a 62 Rambler station wagon. So I put my tools in the back of my Rambler station wagon, started a business called Car Doctors. The tagline was, we make house calls, because it's the only way to do business at a shop. That business grew. I took on a partner who built a shop in Provo. That shop is still there. I sold out of my apartment, sold out to somebody else. That shop is still there. Put myself through school as a mechanic, sold the business, started a financial planning business with my new degree. Was doing real estate, sold stocks and bonds, investments, retirement planning, things like that for people. Had that business for about 7 or 8 years, and then my wife's grandmother got Alzheimer's. And they put her in a, she was from Richfield, they put her in a facility in Nephi so that both her husband and we could visit her. We were living in the home. And when we visited her, they treated this lady with such disrespect that I thought to myself, as a businessman and as a human being, this isn't right. So I decided to go back to school, sold my business, went back to school to get my marriage and family therapy degree, my master's in marriage and family therapy. Because my undergraduate was in business management, there's only 2 schools here in Utah that would teach marriage and family therapy. I had to go to California to get my degree. And my plan was to get a marriage and family therapy degree and open up a facility to help these people. Once I got my degree and went to get licensed as a facility, they told me we needed 6 months operating capital, which was about $500,000 to $600,000. So I went to work trying to save up the money, went to work for the Division of Children and Family Services. Was a social worker supervisor and became a manager, was a manager there for about 12 years. In those 12 years, I was responsible for about 80 staff, had 1,000 kids under my care who were in foster care. It was my responsibility to make sure those kids were taken care of and that the social workers were doing the job. Through all of these experiences, I've learned leadership, I've learned finance, I've learned to make hard decisions, emotional decisions that affect people's lives. But to take all that data in from various resources and various people and places and be able to do that, that's what I bring to my candidacy as city councilman. Thank you. Now we
Hey guys, I'm Steve Johns. I recognize quite a few faces, but not all the faces. My wife, I feel like I've lived here for about 3.5 years. We've officially lived here for just over 2 years. My wife and I and our 3 kids, we started building our dream home down in Oak. We started that about 3.5 years ago, and it was quite a project, and we built much of it with our own hands. And after lots and lots of years of planning and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into building what we built. And it was funny because we had been looking all over the place, almost all over the world, for where we wanted to plant our roots. And when my wife found Woodland Hills, it was a no-brainer. We found a lot that we loved and planned our house and moved in here. And I don't have a rehearsed speech. I don't have, political savvy. I'm not a politician. But the reason why I'm here today is because I want to preserve what we have. I want to preserve the quality of life we have here in Woodland Hills. I want to help maintain fiscal responsibility. I want to make sure we're doing what we can to keep taxes low, quality of life high, and that's really what I believe in. We're getting into an interesting point in our lives where our youngest is 21 and he's getting ready to move out, and so we're just engaged in what we can to help the community. Shortly after moving into our home, got a knock on our door, and I got invited to be on the volunteer fire department, and it has been a tremendous blessing in my life, even though my wife's like, oh my gosh, how many hobbies do you really need? It's really been a blessing to me because it's been really fun to participate in that, to serve the city and do what we can to help maintain that quality of life. So the bottom line is that's what I stand for. I want to get to know each of you. I want to get to know what your needs are, what your worries are with the city, listen to those, and help make decisions that are going to support that for everybody, because that's really why we're here. I've had a lot of experience working with cities. I've been a contractor for my entire career, which might seem short, but it's pretty extensive. And so I'm really excited to bring some of that knowledge to help improve what we've got in the city, work toward more efficiencies. And again, I just want to represent you. And so I'd love to know what's a concern to you, and that's what I want to stand for. And so that's it. Do I get penalized if I'm short on that? You want to see advance? Yeah. I'm also at Christmas time, my buddy Yale. I've got this friend in the city who just gets to know all kinds of stuff.
Okay, now that we have the introductions out of the way, and I know we said you were a little bit better off from here on out, I will refer to you as your first names rather than Mr. or Ms. or whatever. So first names will be the rule here on out. There are some rules. After this ends, somewhere around the 8 o'clock hour, maybe a little bit after, there will be an opportunity for each of you to make a summary statement of about 2 minutes each. I have a list of questions. Some of them I haven't yet seen. They're coming out of the fishbowl. But as you are answering the first question that I have, I'll have a chance to look at some of those questions, because these are the questions that are coming from your residents, and I know that they will be a priority for me to look at. And so each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the questions that are proposed, and I will rotate through each of the candidates so that Ben is not always first. So the first question will come next will be answered by Roger, and then Janet, and so on back, and Ben will be last. We have a timer. He will wave to you or sound the alarm when 2 minutes are up. And then As I said, we'll have a couple of minutes to wrap up at the end. So, first question, Roger. What do you see as the most significant challenge or your top priority facing Woodland Hills, and how would you address it?
Well, I think as I've gone around the city and I will be knocking on your door, just like, Lund here. I will be knocking on your door, plenty of time to talk to you there, and I'm always gonna have some open houses, and you're certainly welcome to come. But the first thing I would say by far is this concept of unity, and I believe there's ways to get there. Because we are a little bit, I'll say, defensive on one side, and at the same time on the other side, there's angry or just unsettled feelings. Now, I was talking last night with a guy in the newer section over there. He didn't even know anything about it, unsettled feelings. But there are some out there, and it's kind of split. I talked to some of you and I go, wow, you guys are really faithful, good people, but harbor something inside that is absolutely amazing, right? And that's on all sides. Doesn't matter. And so, how do we heal that? And how do we get everybody on the same page so that we're commonly working toward our problems instead of kind of beating each other up over petty differences, right? Because we have some big challenges, right? The biggest challenge, like I said, is probably, other than trying to unify ourselves and keep us on the same page, is keeping our roads sane, keeping our sewers, updated, keeping our wells. Those are three biggest problems, right? In terms of money, financial commitment, right? And then, so how do we do that, right? And I don't know how much time I have left, but 20 seconds? Okay, 20 seconds, I don't know if I'll solve that problem, but I think we do it by opening up the information so the citizens can review the information prior to us voting on it, prior to us discussing it even sometimes, and so that everybody can really get a feel and talk together. That's one of the big steps. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I am sorry, but I have to take a little bit of an exception to that comment because I spent the last 4 years trying to build that sense of community as being over all of our events and our newsletters and all of our things. I think it depends on who you talk to and who you're hanging out with. I think a lot of people do feel like they're heard. I hope city council meetings and things like that are always open. We always have our contact information out there, and so you can always reach out to us. We will be happy to, sir. And if we know the answer, if we don't get to find it out for you. I had that on Facebook today. I didn't know the answer to something, and I had to reach out to Ted and find it, and then I reported back. So we try to do that as much as we can. For me, my biggest challenge, I think, is just roads, water, and infrastructure, and finding the money to pay for all of those things. That's always been a challenge as long as I've lived here. I didn't tell you before, but I lived in Woodland Hills for 12 years. And that has always been a challenge. For many, many years, we just didn't have the funds and we kept kicking the can down the road, literally, to repair our roads. And now you can see it's a little bit of a hassle and a little bit of an inconvenience, but we're getting our roads done. And so I'm really grateful for that. So to me, the biggest concern is just balancing not raising taxes, which we actually were able to do this year, with getting the infrastructure done. So to me, that's our biggest challenge.
That's a loaded question, because there are lots of priorities, right? My main priority has been generally trying to look towards the future from my conversations with residents, when former council members and current council members, is a lot of the things that we struggle with today are due to bad decisions that were made 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago. So part of what I want to do is look towards the future, is make decisions today to make sure we know what that impact looks like 10 years, 20 years, 50 years down the road. And we're not just trying to solve today's problem with today's answers, but solving today's and tomorrow's problems with today's answers. And part of that for me is inviting residents' input. I've struggled a little bit with trying to get information and trying to get it in a timely manner. And I think there are ways to get that information out, partly because it's not necessarily about sharing information, it's about soliciting input. I don't think any 6 people in any city have all the answers. My desire would be to invite all information, all ideas, all thoughts from everybody, because we all have different experiences. We all have different life experiences, different education, different places we come from, different people who experience. My goal would be to invite as much of that into city decision making as possible, so that we have the best options available to us. So that's where I concentrate. Thank you.
I'd say that the biggest priority right now is probably financially. Though it sounds like we've got an arrears of dilapidated utility roads and things like that, and not until recently are we seeing professional improvements that are thinking about the future. We're doing studies to see what's going on, and I think those are decisions that were made kind of on a whim before. And so I think that the revenue, the taxes that the city's bringing in are being better used by studying this stuff and making sure that it's all there. But at the same time, those same roads that are getting treated today in 5 years, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years are going to need maintenance. And so making sure that we're planning for the future, like Mike is saying, I think is really crucial. And obviously what we pay for today is going to be much more costly tomorrow. And so how do we get more for what we're paying in taxes today and make sure that we're prepared for the future so that we're not having to surge or do special assessments or special taxes or huge increases? That's what I would say would be the focus, because we want to maintain a balanced budget and also maintain the quality of our utilities and everything. And so looking at that, there's 2 ways to balance a balanced budget. That's to increase revenue. In my personal finances, has always been to tighten the belt. I'm sure with the city and with all of our costs, it's going to be a combination of both. See what we can tighten down, see what we can be meaner on, and also see where we can get more good, solid revenue for the city. And so that's what I would say would be my solution to it.
Oh, well, I won't harp more on the financial part because that's always going to be one of our biggest struggles. As a community with no commercial base, it's always going to be tight. What I want to talk about predominantly is, for the last 4 years, it's been my privilege to be the mayor's mayor pro tem. And so with that, he's kind of pulled me through a lot of the different things that we've had the opportunity to go through. So for me, the most important things that I feel are impactful that I can work on if I'm elected as mayor is communication. And communication will help me with the second. The second, I believe, is misunderstanding. When there is a misunderstanding of what the city is doing and what the residents believe or the cities are doing. And I believe communication can help bridge that gap. So we have made great strides, as many have talked about. Our roads have made great improvements. Hiring Ted as our public works director has made some wonderful things that have really helped with the city, right? We now have a plan. And if you want to know what that plan is for our roads and the financial elements of that, it's all in our public documents. We've made disclosed it to everybody. But one thing that I really want to do is try and meet people a little bit better where they are versus just blasting something out on Facebook versus just sending an email, because we all communicate in different ways. And so I have a few different plans that I want to implement to be able to reach people where they're at, because we have a wide variety of demographics in our city, right? Some text, some social media, some fill in the blank, right? But I want to increase that. The other thing is we do have a vocal minority in the city who are disgruntled for one reason or another. They have a paradigm, in my opinion, that is off of what is actually going on within the city. And they don't necessarily want to find out what's really going on. I've tried to work with them, sat with them many times to try and bridge that gap, and will continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Janet, you'll go first on this one.
I know.
And I'm sorry, some of these questions, I feel like have kind of already been addressed, so you may feel like we're addressing them twice, but that's going to be the way it is. And so the next question comes from one of the residents who wants to assure that you're accessible to to the residents of the community. And so the question I'm going to ask is, how do you plan to involve the residents in decision-making? And related to that, how would you increase communication?
Well, that's been one of my jobs is communication. And I think we can always do better, but it is hard because right now, we have a newsletter, so it gets emailed to every single resident that gets a statement. So whatever your email is for that, we send that out. It gets posted to Facebook, and it's kind of everywhere. It's also posted on our city website, and not just that, but anything. So our minutes from meetings, all of those things. We still have residents that will say, I don't know what it is, or I don't know where it is, or you're hiding it. It's all public record. The budget, if you want to know, we literally talk about the budget every single time we meet for city council. So it's in the minutes and in the agenda for every single city council meeting. It's also posted on our page. So as far as accessibility for me, I do watch the page. I do try to answer. My cell phone is everywhere. It's on the Woodland Hills page. I can give it out to you right now. I have my phone with me 24/7. It even sleeps right by me. So you can reach out to me anytime and I will answer. And the people that have reached out to me can tell you that that is the case. But there is some responsibility on all of our parts to also be informed. We can't just sit back and expect to be spoofed at everything. Everything is available, and I think we just need to do our part. If we want to know something, we need to go look for it and find it. And if you can't find it, please reach out to me. I would be happy to show you where it is. And if I can't find it, we'll find somebody that can. So that would be all I have. Thanks.
I'm not an expert at communication, like Janet is. I believe there's lots of ways we can contact people, whether it's social media, whether it's an effort door that we use, I don't know, to send out the sign information. There's lots of ways to contact residents. I think the value is in contact and contacting them more often about more things, rather than just waiting until there's a decision to be made and then finding them. Sorry, I'm just looking at the, oh, that's what it is. So I know as a resident, I've looked at trying to get information. I have struggled to get information. Maybe because I'm old, not tech savvy, I don't know. But if I want to join, for example, like a couple of months ago, I wanted to join the city council meeting via Zoom, and I didn't know that you had to click on the calendar and then click on the date of the meeting and then click on the link. There's ways I think to make that easier, but again, I'm not a tech person. If I wanted to look at, I wanted to look at prior meetings, you have to go to the Woodland Hills YouTube channel to find that. And again, my thought would be, let's put that all on the Woodland Hills City website to make it more easily accessible. Anybody who wants to look up information. A lot of it is available, a lot of it is easily seen. Some of it for me has not been, and that's where I find it beneficial to try to find better ways, more ways and different ways to contact people and to get their info.
We are working on updating the page to make it better because we've had some really good suggestions. So you may see some changes to the Woodland Hills page, just so you know. We are working on that.
Okay, so communication. How do I involve the community in decisions that are being made? I agree, it's tough. It's kind of a two-way street where it's like we get information, we've got huge decisions that are being made. It seems like weekly right now in our council meetings. And who knows, how do they know without going out and seeking it? I don't know that I've got the perfect answer, but I think the more avenues we have for people, the better it will be. I've considered some things that, whether I'm elected or not, I would hope that it would be considered, because I think doing things like survey outreach, reaching out to the citizen. But in order for that to be effective, we need a majority of the citizens to provide feedback, right? Otherwise, we just get a small tool or a small sampling of what people want. And then the majority or the minority few that want it a certain way tend to have the loudest voices. So for us to make informed decisions, I think that, you know, we all need to be vocal, we need to be out there. If you're worried about reaching me, everybody grab a pen and paper, I'll give you my phone number right now. If not, it's on the bathroom wall. No, but in all reality, like, we all want what's best for the city. I want to make sure that I'm not just voting on my behalf, I want to make sure that I'm voting on the majority behalf, but we need the majority to be involved, and not just in the destructive things or the things that we feel impacts our lives, but on all the little things too. Do we need to do something about the turkeys? Maybe we don't, maybe some we don't care, right? I don't know, I'm just saying. So the bottom line is we want to do that. So I think a broad outreach with the same content of information. Some people may be looking at it in their email, some on Facebook, some on Instagram, some on wherever it is, that there's a million different avenues. We need to spread it and make it very available, so.
I like this Instagram. What is that? Well, so this is kind of my last answer. I'll just repeat it. No, I'm just kidding. Over the past 4 years, you know, I hope that you have felt that you could contact me with any of your concerns. I know many of you have. Many of you have called me at many hours of the day or night, and some of you have been kind and you're calling, and some haven't, but I'm okay with either option. I'm literally here to help. I'm here to serve, and that's why I plow the streets during the winter. You know, it's one, partially it's a little, selfish, so that my wife, I always know she can get up the street. You know, there's one benefit to having no husband when it's snowing. But I'm always here. I'm always accessible. So, and I'm always typically in the city because I work here in the city predominantly. And so I'll be in the office most of the time. For the last 4.5 years, I've spent, probably more than Jody would like to admit, hours here in the city building. So I'm here to facilitate that as well. One other thing that I'd like to start doing is creating basically a bi-weekly, weekly, whatever it ends up making sense, vlog. So a quick little video, because I know a lot of us don't want to sit there and read everything, but a quick what's going on in the city. Hey, here's the agenda items that we're talking about in City Council. Are you interested? Please come and join us. We have found that surveys typically poll really well for those that are vocal. And those that are not don't, and thus their voices are never heard, and thus it can actually skew a lot of the decisions we would make if we went to a full survey model. So I actually have some apprehensions on the survey model. I believe, again, like I said earlier, transparency, giving as much information as possible will bring more information to you. But like Janet said, there's also a little bit of, you've got to come and find it as well. So we'll work together to bridge that gap. Thank you.
All right, I've thought about this pretty long and hard, this communication process, because it's kind of huge. And we have about 919, I believe, if I counted right, registered voters here in the city. And at any given time, I don't know how many would actually participate, but an outreach program to get people into a situation where, so far, any surveys we've done have been email, but text and email are the way that people communicate, pretty much. And so I believe everything, any agenda item, particularly things that are going to change the ordinance, right, need to be communicated, and the people need to have a voice in that. Voice of people is huge. That's the way everything is run. And so the more that we can have the voice and reach out to each of our constituents and have them, and have it be easy. I mean, it's great to have to hunt it down, but when I spent about 20 hours getting the payroll numbers put together, that was a lot of work. I don't think I need to do it that way. It'd be just really public. So the information on the finances, for example, should be right there front and center. Everybody sees it. It's just clear. It's just light of day. It's just there. And even in the detail. And now the agenda items and what's coming up, what's coming down the pipe, that takes a little bit of planning, right? We got to sit down and think, hey, we have these things coming up. Let's get the input. It takes some work. Who's going to do that? I think the person's going to do that as a mayor. Who else is going to be the liaison between the constituents, if you will, and the city council? So the mayor got to take some responsibility. The way to do that really is You talked a little bit about the survey model. There are different ways. I've looked at 3 or 4 different applications that would push information to you. You would get it, you could easily vote, or not even just vote, comment or discuss. That stuff can be synthesized, could be only for my eyes to see. If that's, people don't like to get out in public and be, public about it sometimes. They want to be behind the scenes. So make it easy for you guys to communicate and with us, and then to share that with the city council or whatever. It's totally what I'm all about. Yep.
This next question. I know every community, every city, and Utah County is concerned about growth, and I'm sure Woodland Hills is no different. And so, many residents are concerned about growth, and I'd like you to explain your feelings about growth. And a question that came in with this poll was, what are your ideas for commercial growth now that we have a development coming at the bottom of the hill?
Another simple question, I appreciate that. My feelings on growth are generally, we have to grow, right? It's healthy to grow. It's a beautiful place to live. I'm not opposed to growth. I'm opposed to unplanned growth. I think we need to plan for all kinds of infrastructure, all kinds of long-term plans for growth. And I don't know that we want to sacrifice who we are for the sake of growth. Commercially, in my brain, I've explored lots of options. We don't have a lot of possibilities here because of where we're located. There was talk a while back about putting farms in the bottom of the hill. I don't think we'll ever have the bottom. I don't think we'll have the bottom that farms will be here. But I think there's other things we can do, small things we can do. I talked to a resident recently about putting a sledding hill somewhere in the city and charging, $5 per person per day for people to come up and sled. Another resident proposed an ice skating rink. Just things like that, things that we can do that don't take a ton of money, don't take a lot of capital, but if we can do that kind of thing on city land, which the city owns, then it's pure income for us. The other thing I haven't visited a lot lately is the whole idea of Airbnbs, because I know there's tax revenue available in those. I know the gentleman in 6 been opposed to that. But as we look at how to increase revenue, it can't just be the standard answers. I don't think here, because I don't think we have the base that a business would be, that a thriving business would be, but I think we have lots of opportunities to look outside the box, to do things differently, to look at ways to just generate income that aren't necessarily putting a brick and mortar store at the bottom of the hill. Thank you.
It's a commercial development. Okay. It's a touchy topic. I feel about development in general. I spend a lot of my life outdoors. I love the outdoors. We came to Woodland Hills because it's mountainous and beautiful and open, and I can sit out and enjoy quiet, dark nights. I can enjoy quiet days. It's a beautiful place. That's really important to me to preserve. So just like Mike said, I believe that we're not going to avoid all growth, but we definitely need to focus on controlled and responsible growth. It's going to be a very strategic plan, I'm sure. I don't know what that entails, but there could be some responsible commercial that plays a part in that offers us a little bit of tax relief, and when I say tax relief, that doesn't always necessarily mean taxes reduce. It just means that they're slower to increase. But what that looks like, I don't think there's a broad brush stroke that we can paint that with right now. I think that we need to evaluate it. We need to look at the recourse, the payback that we get, etc., to know if it's the right thing for us as residents. But I do believe that the most important thing is to protect our value and our quality of life here as residents in the city. And I do believe that at some point commercial is going to come up and we're going to have some tough decisions to make, and I'll be prepared to make them and listen to what everybody has to say about it at that time.
Yeah, this is a two-edged sword, isn't it? One, commercial would be great if we could get some revenue, that would help lower our property tax burden. The only problem is then what types of commercial do we bring in, right? Many have asked, what about doctor's offices or accountancies or law firms or something that doesn't necessarily bring as much traffic? Well, the problem there is the only increase there we would actually get is 100% of their property tax would then be taxed versus the 55 or whatever it is for residential. So there's no sales tax that we'd actually generate there. Airbnbs, like Michael said, we've talked about that a lot. We've thought about that, and the cost benefit ratio is a hard one to swallow, right? There's many statistics and studies that show crime rate increases when Airbnbs show up because transient people show up that don't have an invested interest in our city or community, and thus they have parties and noise and there's all sorts of stuff there. The main primary issue for me when it comes to commercial is the question of who. Who would actually spend the money to come here with our small customer base versus spend the same amount of money and go down into, say, Salem and double their profit for the same investment? That's the primary concern. So predominantly, I'm not all that inclined to go down the commercial route unless we can find an avenue that makes sense. I've had discussions with many that say, what if we do like an art festival each year, right? And some of those proceeds go to benefiting the city, some go to the sales tax for us, and then also it just helps beautify and bring some more culture to our city. Those are the types of things I'm more inclined to think about and pursue. Though I'm also very open to a discussion at any time that any of you have an idea, because together we can gain some really great ideas. In isolation, we've got some good ones, but they're better with everybody. Thank you.
Well, I've seen, like, particularly with the concept of Airbnb, right? I've seen, we've heard that there's pros and cons with that kind of thing. My first sentiment is that, first of all, our property is private. It's our property, right? And that's fundamental. But then at the same time, we've signed up for the city, right? And the city is like an HOA. In reality, for the number of ordinances we have, probably it's 230 pages, but then we added a big thing. It's probably now over 300 pages, right, of ordinances. And so you look at that and you say, wow, have we really looked at this to figure out who we really are, right? And, if I wanted to take off every winter and rent my house out for 3 months, could I do it, right? And in sense, is it a short-term rental? Would it provide sales tax? Yeah, probably would. Would I be responsible now to make sure that they don't start fires and they keep the rules and everything else? Absolutely, right? But who are we to say? Because in fact, that's what we're saying. No, you can't do that because we won't allow that, right? And that's a big step for a city to say that. Even if, I don't know, maybe there's 100 people that want to do that every winter, right? And so now you get 100 people up here. Is it going to create some issues? Yeah, probably so. But would it create another 100,000 for taxes or 200,000 in taxes a month, right? So you have to weigh that. But you also have to weigh the fact that, yeah, we have some rules. I don't think any of these things are easy. I don't think we're going to get businesses down there, even in that 240 acres. I went up and spoke to that gentleman the other day. Great guy. He's a lot of fun, right? And we talked about, that's really the only land we have down there that's commercially available, if you think about it, maybe a little bit across the street. But you have to look at that and say, who is going to come up here? Because we're at the end of the road, so to speak, right? Anyway, so those are tough questions, but I always err on the side of you. How are you going to weigh in, right? And that's really what matters.
Okay. I'm last. So we actually looked at an ordinance for Airbnbs, and I was very opposed. And this is going to come as a surprise, but I actually have an Airbnb in Yellowstone. And your little subdivision is actually called Yellowstone Acres. That's kind of cool. But anyway, what has happened is with all the Airbnbs, there's been a real loss of sense of community. And that people that don't have Airbnbs are all angry all the time at the people who do. And I'm one of those dirty bootlickers from Utah that owns an Airbnb. So I am opposed to having that here in Woodland Hills because I love the sense of community that we've been trying to build, and I don't want that to happen here. Having said that, there's nothing in our ordinances right now that prohibits them, and I know that there's some of those are going on. For a commercial, that's a tough one. The only thing I've ever thought that might be good, and I don't really know what the revenue would be maybe like a smaller, like a 55 and older community, or not a nursing home per se, but something that's kind of transitional home, something like that, down maybe at the bottom would be good. Other than that, I don't really know. That's a tough one. That's where you guys all come in. If any of you guys have a great idea, we would love to hear it. We've talked about it for 4 years and brought it around, and it's just hard to come up with something good for a commercial. I don't like the Bros. I hate it, and I complain about it all the time. I actually work in Pleasant Grove, and I spend way too much time on the freeway. And for me, getting off the freeway and coming south of Spanish Fork used to be, then you would just hit fields, and it was like a breath of fresh air, and I would open all the windows and all the stress would leave as I came up the hill, the Woodland Hills. Now I hit a light at the middle school, and there's so many cars and people pulling out in front of me and cutting me off, and all the traffic that I can't do until I hit the roundabout. I've lost that time. Just one real quick. A citizen said once, we pay more in property taxes to have the quality of life that we have. And unfortunately, I think that's true. Thank you.
On this one, this is a hypothetical. Whoever else just received $1 million, no restrictions. You alone make the call. What are you gonna do
Oh, boy. So I made the decision that we just got $1 million. Okay, and I don't get to ask anybody their opinion? Okay, because that's what I would do normally. So I would probably look at the biggest need in the city, which it sounds like right now is some replacement on some water lines. And I would probably focus on that because that's a key infrastructure that is, it could go south any minute and we would need to dip into savings or find some other way of revenue if we had to. So I'd probably be proactive and get that done. Is a longer question? And a brush stroke. The brush stroke, really? Is Ted paying you off this? He stopped it.
The brush truck creates revenue.
So this is gonna be really boring, I'm sorry. I'd probably go another route, and I'd probably go with a new ambulance first. Because I don't know, many of you know, we're currently looking to be able to transport so that we can be able to get anybody in medical need to a hospital much faster than we currently can, because we have to wait for Salem. So I'd probably go there first, but Ted might say I'm biased because my wife's an EMT for the city too. So that might be self-serving, but he said that I don't have to consult anybody. But predominantly what I would do is the same as Steve, but I would dump it into the water line projects, right? Or I would use it to leverage our ability to get better terms for the amount of money that we would need to finish that water line project. So we would do the best thing that is the most fiscally responsible probably towards that water line project.
I would probably agree, it's the infrastructure that we do need, that we're pushing down the road, or it just got down. We have about, and it hasn't been really disclosed yet, I'm still trying to find the answers, we probably have $7 million of debt in the city. And we just increased it by about $2.5 million, right, to build all these roads we have up here. And we took about I don't know if the number is exact, all that's about 2.3 go into the budget, and another 1.4 from cash from different places. So I see these numbers coming in, but I don't know what the actual number is. I know we paid down $690,000 with with some, some of that to get there. So as I get those numbers in my head and understand what the debt is, yeah, I mean, I don't want debt. I mean, you need it sometimes because you need the road. I mean, I heard it discussed rational decisions. We got roughly a road cost about 9 to 13% a year increase. Well, that's a lot more than an interest rate, potentially. So you can look at that and say, no, let's go spend the money on the infrastructure today because we don't have to spend it, in the sewer stuff. It's probably 30 to 50 years. So that's a good spend, right? If we're gonna have to spend it, let's just get it done because we get the road done too. So I think you look at the infrastructure, but you also look at the debt you have and, just live within your means. Anyways, thanks.
So that is the responsible answer. I'm gonna go with option B. So my time on PTR really influenced me. So we used to live on Santa Fe Bench and we had 4-wheelers and we could ride over trails everywhere. It was so fun. And I didn't obviously do my research because when I moved here, it was nowhere. So if my money wasn't enough for the water line project, which it wouldn't be, it could definitely make a dent into it. But option B for me would be to invest it in some new trails. I'd love to see a trail along Woodland Hills Drive. And you guys, we need a pickleball court. So that would be my option B. Option A is the responsible answer, and that's what I would have to do. But in my heart of hearts, I would want to do option B.
Well, apparently I chose option B because that's what I was going to say. It's a tough balance, but when I think of the quality of life that we enjoy here, I think I go down to Spencer Brook all the time, walking the trail. It's beautiful. And every development that they do, they add trail space to just a little, whatever it is, 6-8 feet wide asphalt trail. And that's wonderful. Infrastructure, again, safe choice. I have to weigh again, and I would probably go with Janet and say, let's do something for the residents. It's $1 million, it's not gonna fix everything, but it would surely improve our quality of life. I know I see people all the time who are either walking, jogging, or riding a bike down Woodland Hills Drive. And it's just dangerous. It'd be wonderful, I think, if we could put a 3 or 4 foot trail or a 5 foot trail on one side of that going all the way through the city. So that's probably where I would spend.
So you've all had a chance to go first, at least once.
Yeah.
Gonna come back to Ben. And this is a 30-second response. So it's gonna go quick. And then we'll decide whether we want to have final remarks, or I can be here all night if you want. So the question, Ben, is, if you had one thing you love about Woodland Hills, what would it be?
This is the one I have to go first now. This is rough. One thing that I love about Woodland Hills, or what would that be? This is just gonna sound political and cliche, but it's the people. That is what makes Woodland Hills great. It's each of you. It's the way we look after each other. It's the way we love each other. Living here through that fire, I never felt so close to people that I didn't necessarily know all that well yet. But we were together, we were bound together, we were forged that day. Thank you.
He's right, that is a political answer, the people. When I remodeled my house, I tore out 2 big walls and I put it, it's like a fishbowl, and it's big windows on both sides, and I live in a forest. Wow. I wake up every day and I just go, this, pinch me. This is just so beautiful, so peaceful. And I see the deer walking through. I couldn't stand it when I just look in this little window and see deer and whatever animal going through, and then over here, I had to go over here. So I just opened the whole thing up to a big window so I could just watch them all the time. That to me is Woodland Hills, right? Anyways.
Well, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. and just say, for me, it's the peace, that Woodland Hills gives me. And that's because of the people and the nature. And if you look outside, I mean, it's dark now, but when we first started, you can see the mountain and all the colors. And is there a bad season up here? I mean, they're all just stunning, and winter is amazing. And to me, it's just the peace that I get from Woodland Hills. I don't have issues with any of my neighbors. They're all wonderful. I love them all so much. And it's just beautiful here. So that's.
This ditto would be too short, right? But it is the people, it is the community, it's the nature, it's who we are as a community. And again, that's one of the reasons I'm running, is I love who we are as a community. I mean, you folks are here as part of the community, and the fire was part of the community, and the Maple Days is part of the community, Woodland Hills Days is part of the community. It's the people, but it's the community, it's who we are and why we're here. That's what I'm choosing.
I mean, I told you that when my wife and I, we came up here, we fell in love with the mountains. It was definitely the mountains, the trees, the colors. I mean, we live in an absolutely beautiful place and it's unrivaled. Even just driving up to it, you can see the colors popping from clear down the road, and then you get up in here and you've just got views all over the place that just pop with colors. So, I mean, I can't lie that is absolutely my favorite thing about Woodland Hills. So, and the people.
I'm going to ask one more quick question. This won't take 2 minutes to answer either. We'll start with you, Roger, but this came from one of the residents. And this will give you a chance to express your feelings about the current council and mayor. Tell us at least one thing you feel good about that the council has accomplished.
Okay. Like I said, I've had the chance, just because I'm interested, to watch interaction. And I've gone to a few city councils and I've watched some others on either live or just after the fact, right? And I watched the professionality, because I really do believe that there's a level of professionality here that is high. And that's good, because things are getting done that need to get done. And maybe they weren't getting done for a while. And so that's a big step. The only thing that I think I would do potentially different is, like I said, reach out more. And it's been voiced by a couple of people here, but just really reach out to the community and really get them to want to be involved, because that's just going to create unity. Is you knowing us and us knowing you intimately, right? Like, we know what you feel about the deer or the turkey or whatever. Because there's just differences of opinion. That's okay. And so really, that's what I feel about it. It's how do we get you and want to be involved with the decisions that we're making. That's hugely important. Thanks.
So I'm part of that group. And I can just tell you that the last 4 years, it's been really great to see the improvements and the changes and how we work together. We're such a diverse group. I would say that all of the council members and the mayor, and even I would include the city employees in this, we're all so different. But we all have different strengths, and we rely on those strengths, and we really build upon those, and I love that. And we all come with different viewpoints and different opinions, and we listen to each other, and I think that's so valuable. And the best thing is that we also all have the ear of our friends and neighbors and people that talk to us. I have a lot of people that come and talk to me about things they're concerned about, and then I come back and ask. And I ask city people, I ask Jody and Ted a lot of questions because, trying to get answers. But I just love the direction we're going. I think everything is going so much smoother than it did before. We don't have the issues that we had before, and things are getting done. And you can see the progress, and I'm just really proud of what we've accomplished the last 4 years. And if we can get another great group in there, when you hire a new employee, you're always afraid that you might get bad apples, but I hope we can get it looks like everybody here is fantastic. So we can just have another great group going forward, and whether I'm a part of that or not, I don't take anything for granted, that's for sure. So that's.
I have nothing but respect and admiration for our current city council. I think they do their best. I absolutely do. I can name a couple of things that I'm impressed with recently. One is the road plan, because it's a plan. It's not just running through this road and see what happens in the future. There's a plan moving forward. I really appreciate that. The other thing I think they've done recently is using our fire department, our brush truck, and even our engine to go out and earn income for the city. That's an incredible win for us as a city, and that's because of the opportunity of the city council. So I appreciate that. Appreciate all they do for us. I don't think any of them are bad. I think I can add different stuff to the city council. Not that I'm better than any of them. I just come with a different set of experiences and upgrade from the council. Thank you.
I think the mayor and the city council are just top notch. I definitely think we're getting our money's worth out of them. It's, joking aside, I mean, I keep hearing like, why are you doing this? This is a thankless job. And like, I watch the individuals who are there, the mayor, Doral, Ben, Janet, and Carrie and Brian, like, wow, it's impressive. That is a service position. To answer the question, I'm going to name two things, not one. I think one of the main things that they've done is hire Ted. And I mean, the number of hats he wears and what he's done to improve our city, all within financial responsibility and to Mike's point, a plan, so that we know that we're not just doing this haphazardly, only to turn around and do it again in 2 years. Again, I think that's huge. So I think that has been a great thing. The second thing that I respect a great deal is a couple meetings ago in city council, I watched our mayor from what we might call a tiny town in Utah go toe to toe with one of the biggest land developers in the state and really hold him accountable to hanging on to city value and negotiating a pretty hard deal in favor of the city. And to watch him do that pretty seamlessly was just so impressive. So I just think that the people we've got serving right now are phenomenal, and that is big shoes to fill.
So we've talked a lot about, the roads plan. We've also recently just completed our well, finally. It looks now spectacular. It actually, does what it's supposed to do all the time, and it's fabulous. Like Janet said, we have such a diverse set of strengths on the council currently. It's been my joy to work with them. I think one of the hardest parts about being on the council over the past for 4 years has been watching some of my favorite people leave the council, right? And that had to do with Doral. And these people, and David Pratt, and they offered and brought so much diversity, so much different thought, and we would duke it out. We would not always agree, and then we would leave still as friends and colleagues. And that I have respected a lot. It's also been my privilege to work with the mayor. Didn't think I'd get choked up about this. It has been fascinating watching him with his set of skills that we have needed. As an attorney, he knew how hard we could push back. Like Steve talked about with that negotiation that we've been going back and forth with Three Bridges. He knows how hard he can push back with those that have decided that they wanted to basically take from us as residents due to their disagreements with us. And the way he's been able to protect each of us. It's been an honor and privilege to work with him. We have great, this is a little self-serving, but we have great civil servants. We have great staff, and I hope to continue that. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your thoughtful answers to some difficult questions. We will now give each of you 2 minutes to sum up some of your concluding thoughts. We will start with Janet. And, we will with Roger.
So, it was a tough decision for me, I'm gonna be honest, if I wanted to run again, because I have taken on some of the tougher assignments and they take a lot of time. And, each year I give up a lot of weekends for community things, and a lot of late nights, but in the end, I love our community and I love all of you. And if I don't do this, if you don't vote for me and elect me, then that means God has a different plan for me. I'm always serving somewhere. Before I did this, I served in Haiti, humanitarian role. So if this isn't what it is for me, then God will have something else for me. But I really hope it's this, and I hope that I can continue on with some of the things that I've been doing. And like I say, I'm still working on the pickleball court. I still want that so bad. I just need some money. It's like $50,000. That's much. Anyway, I just love and appreciate everybody here. And I really appreciated the opportunity to serve. And I hope I get to do it again. Thank you.
Well, you know a lot about me. One of the things I didn't share is I have a second master's degree in psychology. And I think about how I've operated in life. I've learned both the art skills, the math skills, the scientific skills, the number skills, but also the people skills. That's one of the things I would bring to the council. Another thing I didn't mention was I became interested in religion as a teenager and decided shortly thereafter to go on a cross-legged mission. And our plan was, I'll tell you, I joined the religion based on not having to go on a cross-legged mission, but then I decided I had to, which was really an oxymoron in my brain. But that's the kind of person I am. I'm an all-in kind of person. Our plan, my family and I, my wife and I, our plan was to move up here in 2005. I told you we bought our home in 2009. We did not actually move up here in 2000 until 2014. And that's because I received an assignment, a church assignment. They kept me down in California for about 8 years longer than I anticipated. But again, that's the kind of person I am. I'm all in. When I make a commitment, I make a commitment. That's what I bring to the city council. My emphasis will be on sharing information, making sure every resident has all information all the time, every step of the way. Making sure that we are fiscally responsible, that we're planning for the future, that we're looking for options for revenue, and we're also exploring our expenses. That we continue the fire mitigation issues or efforts that we've been making. I was chatting with one of the developer employees today about some things, and I mentioned Chipper Days to him. He said, is that a thing the city does? I said, yeah, absolutely. Every year, it's a joint effort between us and the county and some folks. And it's fire mitigation. That's what we keep doing. I think that's important. We've all talked about infrastructure. We've got to figure out ways to solve that problem as well, moving forward. So, thank you.
I guess to close out, it's an interesting thing. I mean, I wanted to stand up here and say, vote for me. I'd be a great candidate, and I wouldn't be lying. But I can also stand here and say that we're pretty lucky because I don't think that anybody up here who you're looking to elect has selfish interest, is not here because they don't care about the community. I think everybody up here does, and that we're going to be in good hands. And I think that's what really matters, is protecting our way of life, and I think everybody's going to do that. And maybe from different perspectives or angles, but that's good too. No matter what, I always tell people my next move is going to be to a coffin, and that's what I hope. So I hope to have a very long life here in Williamsville. And so I'm not just thinking about today, I'm not thinking about 5 years, I'm thinking about, 700 years. But the bottom line is I want that for all of us. I want to protect that, and I will work hard for the community, for you as individuals. I want to get to know you. I want to grow I mean, there's so many people here that I just love already, just from who I've met on the streets or whatever. And I hope that anybody who knows me can vouch for the fact that I will work my butt off to do what's right for my neighbors, for the community. And so
So we didn't really talk about it tonight, but, you know, one of the differences between the legislative branch and the executive branch in the city is the different responsibilities there. In my professional career, I've been all over the place, from building homes here in the city to consulting with organizations across the globe, Fortune 100, 500, but then running also my own businesses. One of the things though that I feel, let me back up a little. If you watch the movie that Janet helped in the creation, and then Glenn Anderson, wow, I got that name right. Glenn Anderson and Dennis Lisenby here, just put so much time in creating it, talked about each of the different mayors and what happened during their tenure. And we have been blessed with some amazing mayors. I've already spoken of ours currently. But one thing that I feel we haven't ever had is somebody who has had the ability or understanding professionally for an administrative background, because that's one of the most important elements of the executive, is they are the chief administrator. I have been able to manage and work with many different people, organizations across the, like I said, the globe. And that's one thing that I really want to work on, is what are our processes? What is our communication flows? How are we taking what the legislative branch does and executing it into implementation into the city? And are those pathways of connection from residents into the city, are they smooth? Do they make sense? Do they flow? And that's one of the things that I hope to bring. So I hope to be able to have your vote here for mayor. Thank you so very much for coming.
So I'm often asked as I go out and speak with you guys, why you run, right? And maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, I had a gentleman come to my house and he said, you know, you gotta get involved. And then another week later, somebody else totally outside just said, you need to get involved. And then I had another person come to me and said, you need to get involved. At that point, I said, I wasn't contemplating it, but I thought, okay, I need involved, or why would I get involved, right? And so I started to think about it. And the only reason I can come up with, because there's no glory in this for someone like me. I got my life, I had things I like to do. You know, why would I do this, right? And the reason is that I care about people and I care about community, and I really do. I mean, that's not just lip service. And so I want to get out and meet all of you. That's just, I'm passionate about that. If I can get out and meet you and get to know you and bring you into the foray of the decision-making process, or even make friends, that to me is huge, right? Because that builds community and that builds unity. And that to me is the most important thing. I don't know, in this divided world, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So we need to build here and build out and strengthen this up.
Thank you to all of you. It's now up to you. You've got 5 excellent choices, and it's up to you to go to the ballot box or to your mail-in ballot, however it works here in your community, and pick those that you feel inclined to serve the city of Woodland Hills. My hat goes off to all of your candidates as a resident of Mason. I can only say that my hat goes off to all of you. You've given very thoughtful and deliberate answers to the questions, and you've been very respectful to each other, and I appreciate it. One last concluding statement is that all of the candidates will be available afterwards to talk with you as you would like to approach them, and they make themselves available. And so with that, including Bob, I will turn the time back to Mayor Linder.
I just wanted to quickly close with, first of all, as I was watching the 50th anniversary commemorative video, probably like you, I felt a deep sense of belonging and privilege and being able to live here. And I think that the candidates here tonight really reflect that well. I sort of view the last 4 years as this Camelot kind of an experience, because I would hear about other city councils and governing bodies that would fall under rancor, and we just never had that. We didn't agree on everything, but there was always a real sense of camaraderie and friendship. And I think that each of these candidates have demonstrated a commitment to that same civility, and so I just want to point that. Trenches, because it's not easy. And then Ray, thanks again. I want to